Good day, viewers. I am Tomilola Daniel, and you're welcome to another episode of Tomi Talks Legal. As you all know, I am your due diligence doctor and real estate consultant, guiding and protecting the investments of my clients through the real estate transactions. So today we're going to be discussing the importance of having a lawyer for your real estate transactions, or for every of your real estate transactions. As you all know, real estate is in different phases. Real estate is in different phases, and the transactions are also in different phases. So you have situations whereby people would clients or people want to venture into real estate. Either they want to buy a property or they want to venture into real estate investment. When I say real estate investment, people that are buying properties for lease or for rent, for commercial purposes. They always do not want to carry along their lawyers. They're always inclined to getting an estate agent without verifying the expertise of these estate agents, rather than going for a legal practitioner or a real estate attorney, because they are skeptical or running away from the costs of engaging a lawyer, which for me is wrong. It's because you do not value the level of the investment you want to make. That is why you would not want to consider carrying on a lawyer from the beginning of your transaction. Most of the time, clients would always want to engage the services of a lawyer at the end of the transaction. And when I say the end of the transaction, I am talking about the documentation stage, whereby you have to prepare the documents of the transfer of title between the buyer and the purchaser. And most of the times, clients are always wrong to make this decision. In short, every time a client is always wrong when they engage a lawyer at the end of the transaction, where you have to prepare the documentation, because most of the times the loopholes or the pitfalls of real estate transactions do not always happen at the end. Most of the time, they take place at the beginning. So when you do not carry your lawyer along from the beginning, it would not be able to protect your interests. Or no matter how good this lawyer is at preparing documents, it's only when you have a very good and robust history of the real estate transaction that you will be able to prepare watertight documents for your client and the appropriate documents for your client. So imagine where there are already pitfalls that the lawyer is not aware of prior to your payment, and you now make payments. This person now prepares your documents with the little or no knowledge that he or she really has about the real estate transaction. It is just normal that you will get regular documents. Meanwhile, real estate transactions are bespoke, which means every real estate transaction has its own peculiarities. So when your lawyer does not know the peculiarities or that are inherent in your transaction, it is just normal that the lawyer will not be able to properly and appropriately protect your interest. So it's like a patient who goes before a doctor and you're unable to actually describe the symptoms of how you feel that made you conclude that you are ill. So you go to the doctor, you tell the doctor, I just don't feel well. The doctor wants to know, do you have headache? Is your hand paining you? Are you feeling feverish? To be able to properly diagnose what exactly is wrong with you. So it is when it comes to real estate transactions, and even any legal transaction. But why am I particular about real estate transaction? Because it has to do with your money, it has to do with your sweat, it has to do with the protection of your investment. So you do not want to invest millions and billions of money into real estate transactions or into buying a property, and at the end of the day, because of one loophole or pitfall that you could have avoided if you had engaged your lawyer at the proper time, you now lose or you sink your money into the wrong investment. So I am going to be giving you 5 reasons why you should involve your lawyer for every real estate transaction. Now, when I say for every real estate transaction, I am saying whether you are buying or you're selling a property or you are renting a property, whichever case it may be. It could even be that you are this type that you are interested in investing in real estate companies to gain back or to have return on investment in years to come. So whichever the case may be, you need a lawyer and not just an agent. Why would you want to engage the services of a lawyer? A lawyer is more knowledgeable when it comes to the legal perspective of that transaction. And when there are loopholes to the legalities of a transaction, it is just normal that these transactions will fall through at the end of the day. So at what point do you want to engage your lawyer? Do you want to engage your lawyer at the end of your transaction when it's time for documentation, or you want to engage your lawyer at the middle of the transaction when you've already got to the property and your emotions are tied to the property, or you want to engage your lawyer at the beginning? For me, I would advise you that at every point in time, once there is an intention, once there is an interest to make a real estate investment, ensure that the first person you contact is your lawyer. Now, what is the number one reason why you should engage your lawyer? 1, bespoke professional guidance. As I said at the initial stage, every real estate transaction has its peculiarities, and these peculiarities comes in different phases. So if you do not engage your lawyer at the beginning, who will be able to properly guide you, you would make mistake. Now, it's a common parlance that once a real estate transaction has taken place, people would always say deed of assignment. But it is not for every real estate transactions that a deed of assignment is necessary, or a deed of assignment is the appropriate document to take or to make rather. So it is when you engage your lawyer from the inception that your lawyer will be able to properly guide you and will have an in-depth knowledge of the peculiarities of the transaction. So it is important that you carry your lawyer along from the beginning of the transaction. I think I once said this story in one of my YouTube videos where I said there was a property transaction that I witnessed, first-hand witness, where the lawyer on the other side did not take proper physical inspection of the property. At the end of the day, when transaction was closing, that was when the buyer realized that the property that he thought was 2 plots was actually a plot and some more, not even a plot and a half, and negotiations had been sealed. At the end of the day, the buyer had to pay for the property because part payments has been made. He couldn't resign the transaction at that moment, and that was because of the fault of the lawyer who did not do due diligence. So most of the time, you need to get a very good lawyer who is an expert to help you from the beginning of the transaction. I would say a particular story here where I was involved in a particular transaction, and even before we went to the land registry to actually verify these documents, I already saw loopholes from this transaction from the onset, from the moment from the face of the documents, because the name of the buyer was different from the name on the documents. And I began to ask questions. Do you have any evidence as the seller that this property has actually been transferred to you, even if it was just a receipt? And it happened that this person was just an agent. fronting for the real owners of the property, but wanted a situation whereby he could get caught, he could sell the property without the full involvement of the owners. I had to ask, there is no way that you will buy, even if you had paid part payment, you should have an evidence of the part payment. At the end of the day, when the agent saw that there was no headway, he had to take us to the house of the real owners of the property. So don't go and get an agent who will do an unprofessional job that could lead to a loss in the future for your real estate due diligence or investigations. Before you now at the end now involve a lawyer to prepare your documents, because at the end of the day you're going to be paying the agent, you're also going to be paying the lawyer in both ways, regardless of however form you want to approach it. So at the end of the day, you'll be paying in both ways. Why don't you get a real estate lawyer to do your job for you, and not just doing your job for you, but a professional and a watertight transaction that generations to come will thank you and your investment will be secured. So number 3, why would you want to engage a real estate lawyer for your real estate transactions? I call it foolproof ownership. Why do I call it foolproof? I've been talking about watertight due diligence because your lawyer has been engaged from the beginning, or you've engaged the services of a lawyer from the beginning. It is just normal that when it comes to documentation process of your property or the property that you have purchased or the real estate transaction, when it comes to preparing the documents, your lawyer would know the kind of terms and conditions to insert into the document, the title document, that would properly secure your interests. Even before you get to the documentation process, while you are investigating the title, your lawyer would know what to look out for. So whatever they get at the end of the day, or whatever your lawyer gets at the end of the day from the investigation of title, whatever satisfaction gets will determine the kind of terms and conditions that will be inserted into the title documents for your real estate transactions. So there is foolproof ownership at the end of the day, an ownership that cannot be contested or will not be contested, and at the end of the day you will be at a loss, because you find out that a lot of people would have sank their money, their sweat into a real estate transactions, and 10 years, 20 years done, 20 years away from the conclusion of that transaction, they begin to encounter issues that may lead to them losing that property. But where a professional, an expert, and a good one has been engaged for that property transaction, 50 years, 100 years, even when there is a contest, there will be no loss, because every due diligence needed to be done, every investigation, every inquiry, every document needed to be done for the owner to have a foolproof title has already been done on that document or for that real estate transaction. What is the 4th reason why you would want to, or why it is important, pertinent, or paramount for you to engage your lawyer or a lawyer for your real estate transaction? Document reviews. Now, for clients who would want to buy properties from real estate companies, this is very essential, because you have to look into the title documents that the real estate company has for that property before you say you want to buy. Because you have to be sure that they have proper title or legal title to the property that they are reselling to you. So in this instance, you could even have a situation where they would have an agreement, not even a title. There's a memorandum, or there's an agreement between the real estate company and the original owners of the property, maybe Omonile, maybe it's a communal land. You want to see the kind of agreement that they have, because you cannot put something on nothing. So peradventure, the real estate company and the communal landowners or the community, the people they bought the land from, or the community they bought the land from, do not have an established and a concrete agreement, or they have not finally paid off those communal landowners, where a client or a buyer now buys from such real estate company and you fully make payments, when there is disputes between the real estate company and the communal landowners or the homeowners that they bought it from, it would automatically affect you as the buyer, regardless of whether you have made full payments or not. So you cannot put something on nothing. So it is paramount that you have your lawyer to look into the document, to look into the nitty-gritties, the terms and conditions that may likely affect you as a prospective buyer to that land. So it is only a lawyer that will be able to discover these loopholes and would be able to properly advise you without attaching sentiments or emotions to the purchase of that property. So they will be able to give you an objective advice. Sir, you can go on and purchase this property. Or no, for this reason and these reasons, we are wary of these transactions. Let us look out for another property in a more secured seller. So at the end of the day, you are not buying from that company and you are losing outrightly at the end of the day. So your lawyer will be able to help you do reviews of documents. So what is the fifth reason why you want to engage the services of a lawyer for your real estate transactions? Legal representation actually wards off fraudsters. So once a lawyer is involved in a real estate transaction where the other party has where there is intent to defraud, the other party becomes wary. It wards them off. It puts them on their toes that, oh, for a lawyer to be in this transaction, we may not be able to get away with any fraudulent intent or activity. So once a lawyer is involved in a transaction that is tainted with fraud, it is highly possible that the other party or the transactions will not pull through, because the lawyer has what it takes to detect fraud at the initial stage of the transaction. So naturally, it's just normal that transaction may die a natural death, thereby saving the buyer of their hard-earned money. So let me add this as a bonus, which is commonly known. Number 6, which is processing and perfection of your title at the Lagos State Land Registry or the land registry of the state where you reside or where that property is situated or located. So a lawyer will help you to process and perfect the title to guarantee you a legal title to the property. So at this point, if this video has been educative, insightful and beneficial to you, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the like button and share generously with your audience. If you have any comments, concerns, or you want to engage me with one consultation or the other, kindly check the comment section for the WhatsApp number, or you slide into a DM and you engage with me as I bring to you another episode next week. Thank you.